The Twins lost in ugly fashion on Tuesday 3-2 and decided to double their fun with an equally ugly loss 6-4 on Wednesday. How are your Twins losing to these woebegone Chicago White Sox? Should we really be worried? We'll touch on all this and more. So sit back, buckle up, and get comfortable because Locked On Twins starts now.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what do you say? Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And of course, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. I'm your humble host, Brandon Warren. You can find me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE. And as a reminder, please feel free to be active in the comments. I'm going to do my best to hang out in the comments section, hang out and chat, all that fun stuff. Leave your comments, leave your questions. Let's have a little conversation. Let's have some fun. Also, too, if you have questions you want answered on the show or things addressed on the show in the second segment, the bullpen segment, let me know. Shoot them to me on Twitter at Locked On Twins or at Brandon_WARNE. DMs are open if you want to send it that way as well. And finally, don't forget to check out Locked On Twins Breathless pre- and post-game minutes. Post-game is right after the game, or at least as soon as possible. But yeah, having a lot of fun doing lineup stuff beforehand and then a little quick analysis after. So get your fix when we're not on the big show. The Twins play the White Sox to wrap up the series on Thursday at 1:10 p.m. Pablo Lopez takes the mound with Lucas Giolito opposing him for the White Sox. Again, 1:10 p.m. You can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with Corey and Danny with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins on your SXM app, and you'll find them pretty easily. First of all, the one thing I want to touch on before we get into any Twins topics, and this is actually technically a former Twins topic, Liam Hendriks announces he's cancer-free and is ready to go on a rehab stint after being diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I believe I read it was a pretty serious stage 4, which is obviously very serious. So great to see him coming around. Hats off to Liam Hendriks. We're not going to spend a ton of time. This isn't Locked On White Sox, but we definitely do appreciate Liam as a human being and as a ball player. And so we are more than delighted to get that bit of great news. Now on your Twins, who dropped 2 straight, 3-2 on Tuesday, double it up at 6-4 on Wednesday. Whew. We're going to break down some pretty ugly moments from Wednesday's game. So, fall behind 3-0 early. Louie Varland was all right. I'm not going to say he was bad. I'm not going to say he was good. The velo was pretty good. And he had moments where he looked like a rookie, and he had moments where he looked like he belonged. And certainly he's going to get more comfortable the longer he's up here, which I think is going to be for the relatively long haul with Tyler Mahle shut down. But giving up a 3 spot in the first inning and the Twins claw back with 3 in the third, you know, the game was reset a couple different times, 3-0 to 3-3, 4-3 to 4-4. Twins then trail 5-4, then 6-4. Just too many non-competitive at-bats, too many mistakes top to bottom, and that's just not on the players either. I think there were a couple managerial situations that were also questionable, but let's just roll right through each of them. The first one that really comes up to me, they tie the game on back-to-back doubles with Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton, and this is going to be a common theme, Trevor Larnach strikes out swinging with a runner on second. Now, Larnach had an excessively tough game. 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts. See if we got some strand numbers. That left on base. The Twins left 8 on base. I wouldn't be shocked if Larnach was most of those. The box score doesn't have it, but if you look elsewhere, I'm sure you'll be able to find it quite easily. I would suspect at least 5 of those were Larnach. So Twins more than respectable 3 for 8. Respectable 3 for 8. With runners in scoring position, but again, 8 stranded, only 7 for the White Sox. Then we get into the fourth, and the fourth is where it really starts to get ugly. So Ryan Jeffers takes his walk, moves to second on a pass ball, and then that's when Dylan Cease completely loses it. Throws 8 straight out of the zone. And for whatever reason, Jeffers decides to try advance on a ball in the dirt. It's actually a ball, as a ball in the dirt would normally be. But I don't mind the aggression. I really don't. It was not a good time to use it. It was very poor situational awareness. But at the same time, like, you want guys playing hard. So Jeffers got up 0-2, works a walk. Kepler walks on 4 pitches right after, including one of those that was wild that got Jeffers to second base in the first place. So with your number 2 hitter up, Jorge Polanco, other pitchers missed the strike zone 8 straight, or 7 straight. It ends up being 8 straight for the first ball to Polanco. Ball squirts away from Yasmani Grandal, but doesn't get far enough away for Jeffers to advance. He still tries to. They throw down. He tries a swim move to get in there, but looked like a dead duck, and as a result was called out. Replay was not conducive enough to suggest that he was actually safe, but you got to know the situation there. They don't say you can't or shouldn't make the third out at third base for no reason. Again, 8 straight balls. That, again, the 8th one is the one that ended the inning. So if you don't want to count that, that's fine. 7 is still plenty. Polanco up, your number 2 hitter, 2 out in the inning. Twins are just up by 1 run. You need to tack on more. Dylan Cease, Cy Young candidate year in and year out, is unraveling, and you let him off the hook. So he comes back out for the 5th, but instead of throwing more pitches the inning before, having to find his footing in the 4th, comes out, has a pretty strong 5th to start, with the exception of walking Buxton, and then goes right back to Larnach, strikes him out swinging. We'll talk about Trevor Larnach here a little bit later in the show, because I'm starting to wonder if it's time to kind of change something up there. Then in the 6th, Pedro Grifol goes to Aaron Bummer, and that's when the wheels start turning for the Twins. Donnie Solano hits for Joey Gallo, Jose Miranda for Nick Gordon. Strategically, these moves make sense. Right on left instead of left on left, left on left. However, the rest of the bullpen for the White Sox is right-handed with the exception of their furthest guy down the list. He's not throwing big innings, which you would want to assume there will be the rest of the way. So you're taking the bat out of Joey Gallo's hands for the rest of the night, and to some extent Gordon, who's homered now in back-to-back games, for 2 guys who make outs and then have to hit again in the 8th inning. Both make very similar outs in the 8th inning, and that's that. It's not that it's too early for those moves, but I would much rather have Joey Gallo against a lefty in the 6th and a righty in the 8th than Donovan Solano against a lefty in the 6th and a righty in the 8th, if that makes sense. I hope it does, because in my head, it does. The one with Gordon, I'm not as worried about. He's struggling, Miranda's struggling, so it's maybe a horse apiece between each of those guys facing their particular platoon advantage. But the Solano move does not sit well with me. And this is, again, I understand the analytical idea of having him face a lefty, but you have to manage for the rest of the game. And that's where, it kind of fell short for me, because the biggest relievers that Gallo would face late were going to be righties. Gregory Santos, Kendall Graveman, Keenan Middleton, anyone in the back end of that bullpen that they were going to face the rest of the way was going to be right-handed. So I didn't like that move. Then Willie Castro follows with a walk. Ryan Jeffers at the plate. Poetically, Ryan Jeffers is at the plate when Willie gets thrown out stealing second. Again, appears to be possibly safe on the replay. Twins don't have a challenge left, which means Ryan Jeffers, who was the reason they lost the challenge in the first place, is left at the plate with nobody in scoring position, and the inning is over. He ends up singling in the 7th. which is frustrating because if that had happened in the 6th, if they had gotten that opportunity, that pushes across another run. All hypotheticals. But Emilio Pagan, actually a decision that we might have found questionable otherwise, gets 4 fairly important outs in the middle of the game, really only gives up a single to Yasmani Grandal. So good on him. We're not singing his praises, but he did a nice job. Then the 7th inning is where it goes absolutely sideways. You know what? Let's come back to the bullpen and break down the 7th inning, because we got to give some love to our sponsors, and the 7th inning basically deserves an entire unwrapping. So today we're going to talk about Rocket Money. We have all these subscriptions. If you're a cable cutter, if you're you're using banking, you're using all kinds of stuff. You have lots of subscriptions, lots of apps that you're using, and it can be hard to keep track of what's charging you what. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that will find and cancel those unwanted subscriptions. It will monitor your spending and help you lower your bills all in one place. So 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you're one of them. I know I am. Like that Stars app to just watch one show, or that free gaming trial that you never actually used and forgot to cancel. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find those subscriptions and help you cancel them. You just hit cancel and Rocket Money will take care of it. It also helps you manage your finances all in one place. Categorizes your expenses. You can track your budget in real time and get alerts if anything looks off. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, and they're on average, get a load of this, saving $720. So stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. Oh boy. So we're into the bullpen here, and we'll get to your answers, your questions. But first, we got to do a complete post-mortem of this 7th inning. So the Twins load the bases actually in quite ugly fashion. Ryan Jeffers singles to right. This is against Gregory Santos, a young reliever for the White Sox with really good stuff and looks like he has a bright future. But the whip is kind of high, which is to say he allows base runners. So he gets himself into some hot water, but has the stuff to work out of it. So you get the Jeffers single. Kepler chops a ball to third. Throw not in time. He's safe. Jorge Polanco looks to bunt everybody over, but Santos slips onto his hind end when trying to field the ball. Everybody's safe. So it's a 4-4 game, 7th inning. You're facing one of Chicago's best relievers, and you're in business. 3-4-5 coming up, right? This is about the most feeble 3-4-5 with the bases loaded runs that you will ever see. So your expected runs via the matrix, I think it's like 2.6 or 2.8, bases loaded, nobody out. Then you figure 3-4-5, all you need is a ground ball to get a run. If you can, get into a double play or whatever. Infield in might change some things, but you got a pretty good chance of scoring runs, right? All right, so Correa takes a ball, swings at a 98-mile-an-hour sinker right down the middle, chops it to Tim Anderson, who makes a nice play, throws the ball in the dirt. Yasmani Grandal scoops it, makes a nice play at the plate, 1 down. Fine. So your number 3 hitter who's been struggling continues to struggle. Not that surprising. Then you've got Byron Buxton, who he's been on a bit of a run here of late. He swings at a sinker inside, 99 miles per hour, snaps off his bat. The ball slowly rolls to the pitcher, who fields it with his bare hand, throws home just in time, and Max Kepler's out at the plate. So Jeffers was the first runner out at the plate, Kepler out as the second runner. 3 pitches, and they've already made 2 very feeble outs. And that brings up our good friend Trevor Larnach, who falls behind 0-2 on 2 pitches over 100 miles per hour. Now, he's hit sinkers pretty well this year. Actually, I had the numbers pulled up. He's got a fair number of hits on sinkers this year. Pretty much the only pitch he's really doing a ton of damage on. Then he takes 3 balls, works it to 3-2, fouls off a couple of pretty good sliders. Not only that, but they're the first sliders that he's seen in the entire plate appearance. And he fouls them both off. Again, this is a guy who notoriously struggles with breaking balls and off-speed pitches. So he fouls off, he spoils the first 2, and strikes out swinging. So in the span of 3 pitches, you go from bases loaded, nobody out, to bases loaded and 2 out, and it's still your middle of your order, but it's the guy who's basically swinging with an open, like an oar with a big open hole in it. Like his plate coverage is not good right now, and bing, bang, boom. And that was the kind of the last straw for this offense. They go down in order in the 8th, and then 3 swinging strikeouts in the 9th with a Jorge Polanco 11-pitch walk in the mix. But yeah, there were just so many different things that were like symbolic of where this offense is in the clutch and where this offense is when it means the most. And then Carlos Correa striking out on a pitch way outside, non-competitive pitch is just kind of the icing and the cherry on that awful Sunday. Fortunately, Guardians doing absolutely nothing against the Yankees. They've dropped back-to-back games. They're 14-17. So they're still 3 back, not picking up any ground on your Twins, but not that easy to get all that excited. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. If you're an everydayer, make sure you check back. We'll put a bow on the White Sox series, look ahead to the Guardians. Before that happens, though, you can listen to the Twins tomorrow afternoon, 1:10 p.m. Pablo Lopez versus Lucas Giolito. You can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with the SiriusXM app on SXM, actually, is what you want to search for, and then search Twins in the app to find each game. Now, I put out some feelers for fans' interactions, which is dangerous. It really is, especially when the Twins are playing as they have the last couple of nights. So this is what you guys had to say. These are your comments. I like getting comments. I like getting questions. I like getting observations because I want you guys to feel like you're part of the show. You're a very big reason the show exists, and I want you to feel like that is the case. Our good friend Andrew Cole says losing games the Twins that they shouldn't be or on par with Minnesota sports. I agree, but I will say this too. Your team losing games and being, woe is me, Minnesota sports fan, that is not the substitute for a sports personality. I get so tired of, the teams always lose. I know they're in a special category or case when it comes to losing, but that's what sports are too. They're built for you to lose. They're built for you to not derive pleasure and enjoyment out of your team winning a championship every single year. So I think we need to view them through that lens and have a little more fun enjoying sports because some of y'all are way too bitter and, absolutely difficult to deal with online. Again, I'm not going to tell you how to fan. It's just this should be fun. And if a team that's 17-14 to this point in the season isn't fun for you, it can get a whole lot worse. And we've seen it in recent seasons. Byron Buxton fan says, inconsistent lineup and bullpen starting to struggle is a bit concerning. The lineup has been inconsistent all season long. It feels like it's 10 runs. It feels like it's 2 runs and not much in between. The bullpen struggles all at the same time are what concern me because my confidence level in Jorge Lopez right now is not particularly strong. That's not fair because he's got great numbers, but just when he comes into the game, you don't get that dominating feeling that you kind of hope for from a guy with the numbers he had last year. And then so far this year, Griffin Jax has looked shaky of late. It's not that I don't believe in him. It's not that I don't think he's got good stuff. It's just that when that coincides with Lopez looking a little bit more mortal and Juwan Duran looking, he had that tough game in the middle of the Royal Series, and then he hasn't looked like Juwan Duran in a minute here. So those three guys kind of rippling up at the same time is not ideal, especially when the Twins don't necessarily trust a whole lot of the rest of the bullpen. Caleb Thielbar is obviously on the good list, but then Brock Stewart, he's maybe going to get there eventually, but he's still not quite there yet. Havani Moran definitely isn't there, and honestly, I don't think he's a big league pitcher right now. When he got that pitch clock violation too, it was just like, it just feels like the moment gets too big for him. I think the stuff is there. I think this big league stuff. I think he's got big league stuff, but it's the game moves too fast for him right now. I think he needs to probably take a trip to St. Paul, maybe bring back Hedrick or Jorge Alcala. Probably Hedrick, honestly. I want to see more of Hedrick because he looked really good before he got sent back. Now, with that said, both of those guys might still be within that 10-day window, so we might just be stuck with what's up right now unless somebody is dealing with some kind of injury. Skylar Timmer says they seem so close yet so far. And it's funny, though, because if they win the final game of the series and the first two of Cleveland, we'll be back to that elation of this team's real good. And especially, too, because then at that point, the Twins will be up 3, 4, possibly as many as 5 games on the Guardians. And Chicago will have only gained 1 game on the Twins despite having a good first 2 games. So, we're still riding that roller coaster. We're going to see where it goes from here. But, right now it's a real trip. And Nick Tuttle says, I'd like to say I'm shocked at the sluggish start to the season, but he reminds himself that we're talking about the Twins. Nothing should come as a shock anymore. One that I wanted to touch on, let's see if I can find it here. Our friend Andrew Bagansky says, crappy division. Okay, cool. I'm done watching. I'm over watching them win the worst division in MLB. I want to see an actual contender to play in an LCS. Not likely this year. The dumb fans complaining about the bullpen and offense going into the year maybe weren't so dumb. Hope I'm wrong. I don't understand. This will be the last one we take before we go to break, and then I'll come back with a few more. I don't understand the idea of being bored with the Twins winning the division. I know they've lost 18 straight playoff games. I know that just as well as anyone. But they've won this division 2 times in the last decade, 3 times in the Target Field era, and in the last 20 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I mean, the idea that anyone is sick of winning the division because it's not enough, that doesn't sit well with me. The difference is you can win the division or you can be a wild card team and win a playoff game. There's not going to be a wild card team out of the Central this year anyway, so it's a moot point. But to me, it's just a little bit too much to say I'm sick of winning the division and losing in the playoffs. You can be sick. You can be okay with winning the division and sick of losing in the playoffs because the Twins have won the division twice in the last 14 years and just 3 times in the Target Field era. To me, that's just going a little bit too far. If you want to say winning the division isn't enough, I think that I could probably wrap my head around that. But just being sick of just winning the division, to me, that doesn't work. This episode is brought to you by So Rare, another fun sponsor that we've been working with. It's this fun baseball game where you collect cards. It's a marketplace. You turn fans like you and me into owners with officially licensed digital cards with players across all 30 teams. The ambassadors are Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez. I mean, 2 of the coolest young players in the game. So honestly, how can you go wrong from there? Game weeks happen twice weekly. So it's a 3 and a 4 day cycle. At the end of game weeks, So Rare managers who rank near the top of their leaderboards win all kinds of different things. You got experiences. You can win scarce cards, game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, So you meet MLB stars, but depending on the competition, prizes will vary. If you, though, want to play, and I highly recommend that you do, go to sorare.com/lockedon. And that's just like it sounds, So Rare, SORARE.com, and draft your team full of free player cards, draft your lineup, reset your lineup, start competing today, and you can win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. I tell you, between that and some of the other games that I've seen, we are in a golden age for baseball games via all different platforms. I cannot recommend So Rare enough. You get started with a team that's kind of basic, and then it's on you to build from there. It's absolutely a fantastic game. It's so much fun. And again, I highly recommend it. Again, the Twins play the Sox, wrap up the 3-game set on Thursday at 1:10. Pablo Lopez against Lucas Giolito. You can catch every pitch of the broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search for Twins. Let's get a couple more of these here, and then we'll dive into the final little bit. Alex says the Twins are losing games they should be winning, extremely winnable games being squandered. And yeah, you don't want to lose sight of that with the fact that, yes, the rest of the division is not playing well now, but that can change in a hurry, especially because bad teams are going to be playing other bad teams, and someone has to win those games. So I like where Alex coming from there. And Jay Packalis says, everyone praises the hitting coach Popkins. Can you get him to tell guys to lay off the high fastball? Yeah, I mean, that's more of a 2-game issue. We've seen guys struggle with that here over the last couple of days, but that has been the most frustrating, is it does seem like these are pitches they should not be especially vulnerable to, but yet they have. All right, so let's take a look at what we think maybe needs to change. I, for one, am ready to swap Trevor Larnach and Alex Kirilloff. I think this game was a microcosm of the struggles we've seen from Alex Kirilloff, who he's getting on base. I mean, the on base last I checked was like 336 after this game. Actually, I have it right here, so I can just check it real fast. He's giving you a better than league average on base percentage. Right now it's 339, but he's slugging 366. That, for where he's hitting in the lineup, that's just not going to work. You should either bring up Joey Gallo and move Larnach down to take some of that pressure off, or just outright swap Larnach and Kirilloff. Let Alex Kirilloff have some swings up here. Again, this is all depending on Kirilloff's health. If he's healthy enough to come up here, I'm ready to make that swap. I know Larnach's numbers don't look that bad, but he's not driving the baseball like he needs to. He's not hitting breaking pitches and off-speed pitches like he needs to. So I'm ready to bring back Alex Kirilloff. I'm also ready to ship out Giovanni Moran. And we said this already. If you can't bring back Hedrick or Alcala yet, then I get it. You may have to wait. But right now, you can't go to him in any situation where you need confidence late. And you just can't have him, Winder, and Pagan all in the same bullpen. That's too many guys that you're never, ever, ever going to put in a dicey situation. And the fact that Brock Stewart went in to Tuesday night's game, like, even that felt strange, because nobody knows the level to which Rocco trusts him, but him ahead of Duran raised some eyebrows. Not for me particularly, because I think having him go in there, I like Duran in extras with a runner on second more, just because you more strikeout potential. It's easier to work out of that jam. So it didn't raise that many eyebrows for me. But with that said, we still don't know if Rocco trusts Stewart yet either. And that might give you 4 of your 8 guys that there's no telling if your manager trusts. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. But Twins got to get Pablo right. It's supposed to be 65 tomorrow in Chicago, about 60 when he takes the mound, which is quite a bit warmer than his last 2 starts against the Nationals and Royals. We'll see how the blister is doing. But last time he faced the White Sox was on April 11th. First 4 reached, and then he knocked out 23 in a row before handing it over to Caleb Thielbar. Twins won that game 4-3. One of the best games of the season for the Twins, and especially for Pablo Lopez in advance of signing his extension. Now, with that said, that's the end of this episode. That is all we have for you. Check back tomorrow. We will have a full wrap of the White Sox series. We'll get you ready for the Guardians. and we'll answer your questions. We have way more than we could have answered tonight, so we'll bring some into tomorrow. But again, feel free to send those. Subscribe, like, give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on, or hang out in the comment section. But this is Brandon Warren signing off, saying thanks for listening, and don't forget to come back tomorrow.